Self-awareness is an integral building block to really anything we do in life. Understanding my beliefs, what I think, my thoughts, my feelings, and how I respond in different situations allows us to focus on engaging better with people, learning how to build our boundaries, setting targets, taking feedback at work, and dealing with challenges that come with everyday life. Here is a tool that we've used in art therapy very often called the self portrait. We're able to utilize different mediums to actually create a representation of the self on paper in 3D. For this portrait of the self, you need one colored A3 sheet. If you don't have an already colored A3 sheet like me, you can color your base with whatever material you might have. Chalk pastels work beautifully. One white sheet, which I will tell you in a minute what we're going to do with. Some found material, so if you can go to the garden or a park or anywhere near you, take some time that you spend walking around collecting twigs, leaves of any kind that you found fallen. We've got some cotton wool, some cotton balls, stickers, wool. If you've got a newspaper lying around the house, we get some newspaper cutouts, and really anything else you can roam around your house and find that feels representative of the self. Also, we need a roll of tape or a bottle of glue, anything that we can stick with. So I'm going to start. This is going to be the base for our self-portrait. We're going to start in a really fun way. We need no scissors. I want us to begin by tearing. So you tear the sheet of paper. We've got shoulders formed. We're getting some version of a head. Here's also a reminder that when we look at using art and art therapy, it has very little to do with the outcome and a lot more to do with the process of how we create. Here we have our shoulders, a head, and the top half of potentially what's going to represent us for the next couple of minutes. You pick up your tape or your glue, whichever works for you. And we stick it down. Never be afraid to get a little messy if you need to. Let's take a minute to look at the materials we have and start building basic structures of what represents me as a person. I would start with placing and sticking down cotton wool to represent my hair, because more often than not, this is a little what it looks like after it's been washed. Something that I used to struggle with when I was younger, but have grown to love over time. I would then most definitely use these green leaves as arms. Take your time, tuck them in, stick them down. I think they're a little bit of a representation of what I felt about being extended and feeling almost like I can fly and do a lot more than I ever thought I could before. In an earlier portrait, I would have perhaps put jharu twigs in my hand because I was entirely focused on cleaning. And my focus was very structured and all about being perfect and being a certain way with a lot of pressure. So know that your portraits evolve. This is about what you feel about you in this moment what strikes you in the art material as you go along. And if you can't think of anything, even just picking up what looks exciting, what you'd like to experiment is very often a great start. When I reflect on meaning, it's also coming from a place of having done this many a time. So start small, start comfortable. For example, I have no idea what this would mean. But I like the idea of putting twigs down as a nice stripe shirt. I'm not a fan of striped shirts, but for some reason, this seems to be on my mind in this moment. When you're done with your portrait and you feel finished, I'd like for us to name who we've created or what this person is. So I can call it, my portrait is called Fuzzy Queen. And if that is who the Fuzzy Queen is, I also write a little note about what the Fuzzy Queen stands for. Okay, so if you saw me right, I've come up with a little four-liner which says, Fuzzy Queen, so serene, fly away to a land pristine. The idea is if you spend some time sitting down playing with this portrait, it may not give you something in the now, but if you reflect back on it, if you write about what you see, break down what you've created and what it means to you, it can be a very, very powerful tool in understanding how we feel about ourselves, how we feel about ourselves in time. If you were to do this portrait today, then a week later, 3 months later, it can be a very powerful tool to understand how you've moved across the year, what your goals are, what you would like for yourself to be, what you are looking to grow to, and how you feel and what you need. Self-awareness is not an absolute process. It is not something you figure out in one day through one art piece or one moment of reflection. So I urge you to stay on this journey, whether it's to create another portrait at a different stage in time or sit down with words and writing to reflect, because it is a process that is constant and we keep evolving as human beings. So it is worth checking in with ourselves every now and again.